Not a trace.
That's ridiculous, not a trace.
Unless she's clear away.
How?
Well, you realise, of course, if she got her hands on a uniform, she'd be Officer Yates again. Well, not to us. But if a delivery man came into the yard, he wouldn't know the difference.
Well, where would she get a uniform?
With a little help from her friends.
That's rubbish. Well, did she have any particular friends on staff? Anyone she kept in touch with?
Did she, Vera?
How would I know?
Well, what about the other prisoners? They're still locked in their cells.
It's a pity we can't snap freeze them until we find the woman. I suppose we'd better return to normal procedure. The evening meal is to be strictly supervised. I want every officer we have on deck, the women to go straight back to their cells.
Right.
Do we still look for Yates?
No, we'll leave her to the police.
We can handle it, surely.
Well, you were all for calling in the police over Lynn Warner.
Well, she returned, didn't she? So will Yates. We just have to starve her out.
Rather a gradual method, don't you think? No, it's time we called the police. Well and truly time if one of the staff are involved.
Thanks.
Cheers.
Vera's all for starving her out.
Who?
Yates.
Well, she's got to be there.
But where?
I don't know. How's B. Smith?
Oh, you know, I've been too busy to even think.
Hang on, you're off duty.
Ah, yes. You know, Yates could be scattered around the place in 14 tidy parcels.
Oh, don't.
I hate to admit it, but Vera was right. She was all for special protection for that woman.
That doesn't sound like our girl.
They knew each other outside. And that's classified information, by the way.
But you mean Vera was a friend of Yates?
Well, as near as Vera ever got to a friend.
But there are rules about prison officers consorting with criminals.
Well, Yates hadn't been convicted then.
But Vera knew that she was dismissed from service.
Well, technically, Yates resigned.
Come on, only an hour ahead of the posse. How could Vera be so stupid?
Desperate for a friend, I suppose. Well, you know Vera, she probably gets very
Well,
lonely.
there's no excuse for consorting with criminals. A woman in her position of trust, hobnobbing with a pusher. Makes no better than Yates herself. Does the governor know?
I don't know. She's pretending she doesn't at the moment.
Oh, she'd better be told.
Jean, I've about had as much righteous wrath as I can cope with for one day. Ease off, will you?
Sorry.
What sort of a day did you have?
I'm still upset about Susan Rice.
Well, it's not your fault.
You know, Steve Wilson's got a lot to answer for. It was losing the custody of those kids that pushed her over the edge. He's no better than a hired gun.
That's your considered opinion of Mr. Wilson, is it?
It certainly is.
Must have thought about that, all right.
I certainly have.
Much more than if he'd been weedy, small, and unattractive.
I have no personal interest in Steve Wilson.
Well, of course not. Hello?
Hello, is that you, Meg?
Yes, love your timing.
Oh, can I have a word with Jane, please?
Yes, hang on. Steve.
Yes?
Hello, Jane. How about having dinner with me tonight?
Why?
Oh, let's just say that I hate to eat alone.
Not good enough.
Come on. I promise you'll have a good time.
My idea of a good time would be telling you exactly what I think of you.
All right. That's fine. I'll pick you up in an hour.
Well, are you ready to eat?
I'm eating out.
Oh, with Steve?
It's a chance to tell him what I think of him. That's the only reason I'm going.
Wow. Is that your telling off outfit?
It's all I had clean.
Uh-huh.
The brass knuckles are in the bag.
And in in the black trunks, weighing in at 190 pounds.
Well, good evening.
I wouldn't jump to any conclusions.
We're booked in at 8:30.
Where?
Sergei's?
You mean Sergi's? The type of evening you're going to be having, you'll be wasting your money.
Why don't you let me be the judge of that?
I'm warning you. It's not going to be one of your great evenings.
Well, if we stand here in the doorway much longer, I'll never discover that, will I? Come on.
Bye, Meg.
Oh, bye, Meg.
Bye.
Champagne and roses.
I tidied up a bit for you. You smell of that damn prison. Get out of that uniform, quick. Come on, I'll help you.
Oh, no, don't.
Tough day.
George, Anne's disappeared.
Disappeared. From the inside.
She's gone.
Just like that, into thin air.
Oh, look, we've searched all day.
Oh, God. You knew those bloody Crims were after. You just threw her to the wolves.
Crims? And what's she supposed to be? A Sunday school teacher?
You knew they were out to get her.
Look, I did everything I could for your precious Miss Yates. I must say, you're very concerned for someone who's just a business associate.
Come on, Vera. Don't be silly. You know where you stand with me.
Well, I hope it's a little closer than Anne Yates.
Sit down a minute. I'll explain something. You both know that Anne Yates is a pretty tough lady. And she knows more about my business affairs than I'm happy
I
about.
don't want to hear about your business affairs.
Okay, okay. That's how she pressured me into pressuring you.
She blackmailed you?
She said if you didn't take care of her, her solicitor would open a letter from her and act upon it. Now, she's dead and that letter exists.
It does. She threatened me with it. Would that letter mention me?
Who knows? Ah, the hell. Let's open the champers. I could do with a drink.
What have we got to celebrate?
B really told you could take over.
You better believe it.
Sure, I do. It's only some of the others might get
Yeah, well,
a
they
bit...
better believe it too if they know it's good for them.
Poor old B, eh? You wouldn't think Yates had it in her.
Yeah. Well, a cornered rat'll always fight. B should have known that.
Where'd you get the knife? Off the screws?
Nah. Screws are as crooked on Yates as we are. I mean, she's the living proof that they're no better than we are. Any bloody difference is we're in and they're out.
Funny they haven't found her.
Maybe they have. Maybe somebody done her in and the screws don't want to spread the glad tidings.
Who then?
I don't know. But she gets my vote for Woman of the Year.
Thank you, Jimmy.
Jimmy?
I've been here before.
Oh, you come here often with hors d'oeuvres at $8.50?
Well, if you want the best, you have to pay for it. You haven't been here before, hmm?
I know so few millionaires.
Their loss.
Do you realize that a whole family could eat for a week on the price of a main course?
My mother would have stretched that to a fortnight.
Where is she now, in the old age home?
Now she's dead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Cancer. My father was a TPI. He died shortly after she did. They never owned their own house, and I never owned a suit until I was 23. I hope that qualifies me for the human race by your exacting standards.
You've come a long way.
Oh, some of it was luck. A lot of the fellows at my school were brighter than I was, but, well, they didn't quite make it. Which is why I am genuinely interested in helping people who, well, don't get an even break.
This doesn't sound like the Steve Wilson I know and hate.
You still think that I'm devious, though, hmm?
Well...
Right then, I am. I am a little devious. In fact, I'm being devious tonight. You see, I do have an ulterior motive for this meal.
Oh?
I want a little more tonight from you than just your charming conversation.
Oh?
Yes, well, you would, rather than I lay it on the line, wouldn't you, than pussyfoot about.
I've always thought that honesty is the best policy.
Ah, Here comes my ulterior motive now. Clara, my dear.
Oh, I'm dreadfully late. I'm so sorry,
It's
darling.
lovely to see you.
You must be the clever girl who's going to help me.
Yes, Clara, I'd like you to meet Jean Vernon. Jean, this is Mrs. Goddard.
How do you do?
Hello.
I'm going to what?
Oh, you tell her about it and I'll get you a drink.
Super. Well, to put it simply, I want to open a halfway house. I'm tired of working for the Heart Foundation and the Red Cross. It's boring. The real need is for the victims of the system, don't you agree? The wrecked lives forever shattered unless we do something about them.
You mean you want to open a halfway house for ex-prisoners?
Naturally. I think I put that perfectly clearly, didn't I, Steve?
Clarity itself.
Steve has always been a great help to me with all my little charities, you know. With his expertise and your good advice, I'm sure that we'll soon have the show on the road.
What sort of money are you planning to put into it?
What do you think? About 80,000.
80,000?
Now, you have to tell us the best way to use it.
The best way to use it would be to give it to the Salvation Army. That's where it could do the most good.
Clara would rather do it her way, Jean.
You mustn't rob me of my little pleasures, dear.
It would be far better to give it to an established organization. The Salvos perform miracles on a prayer and a crust of bread and bacon rind. With real money, they could do so much more.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't think religion should come into it. I don't want my girls brainwashed. I really don't.
The Salvation Army is not a brainwashing organization.
Clara is entitled to spend her money anywhere she likes, Jean.
Of course, I know it's her money, but you did ask me my advice.
We do so want it, dear. We do.
Now, you really haven't heard Clara's great idea. She wants to give the girls a place they can run by themselves, for themselves.
That wouldn't work.
Why?
The law prefers that old acquaintance be forgot. The girls aren't capable of it. They just couldn't cope.
Oh, some of them could. Karen Travers, for instance. Oh, she would hardly call her inadequate. She's intelligent, capable, and reliable. Why, Karen could run the whole thing.
Karen. I see.
Intelligent, capable, and reliable. Tell me, darling, what is this Paragon doing in jail?
Oh, boy, does money impress you. Yes, Clara. No, Clara. Anything you say, Clara. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the winner of the Australian Crawl.
I happen to be very fond of Clara Goddard.
Only because she's a useful contact. Steve Wilson's the name. Social climbing, the game.
You know, you're being very childish.
You wouldn't have given her the time of day if she'd been Sadie, the cleaning lady. But being rich, doesn't matter if she's a few bricks short of a load.
Now, don't you underestimate her. She's brilliant.
Really? What's her field? Brain surgery?
Computers.
And I'm Olivia Newton-John.
She can add, subtract, divide, and cube 3 rows of figures while you're adding 2 and 2.
Pity she couldn't figure you out.
Meaning?
You're only using her to get what you want.
Oh. And that is. Oh, please, go on.
Power over $80,000.
Nice one, Jean. I come up with an idea to help those people that you're supposed to care about. And what do? You try and wreck the entire project. Why? I don't think you know why yourself. I didn't think you could be that stupid.
Isn't it time you left?
Yes. I couldn't agree more.
All right, breakfast time. Move! This is the last time I'm going to tell you. Now get a move on there.
You're a slow learner, aren't you?
Gotta learn you a thing or two. Only B gets to jump the queue.
Yeah? Well, I'm taking her place.
Says who?
B told me to.
Watch it.
Didn't you want to move it?
Oh.
That screw over there.
Why? I haven't done anything.
Up Australia.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, miss, when I was coming here...
She hit me! Didn't that bloody Monica hit me?
And did you?
Me? Oh, as good as gold. Hey, listen, how about me taking over from Bea in the laundry? I mean, now that she's not here, you'll need someone in charge, won't you?
I'll check it with the governor.
Come on, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Oh, dear. By the look of you, last night's date was a laugh a minute.
Not that you'd notice.
Well, at least you told him off.
You know what he tried to do? He conned this half-baked old trout into putting up $80,000. And he got me there to clinch the deal. I was supposed to impress her with my experience and knowledge.
Of what?
Some sort of welfare experiment. It had some validity, which is more than I can say for him, legal lass.
Why so upset? All you want to do was tell him off, and you certainly did that.
That's the last I'll see him again. He's got no reason for hanging around Wentworth now.
Well, he'll always find an excuse as long as Karen's there.
Well, he can't expect any help from me in that direction.
Does that mean you won't be helping Karen?
Oh, I wish I had the moral fibre to be absolutely rotten. I know it's no fault of Karen's. You working late shift?
Yes, yes. But I must hurry. I've got someone to see.
Have a good morning.
Mm-hmm. Hello. Look, Graham, we've got a visitor.
Mrs. Jackson, how nice to see you.
Hello, Mum. How's the garden?
Oh, it's all right, thank you. Judy, dear, why don't you make a cup of tea for Mrs. Jackson?
Oh, OK. Milk, no sugar, isn't it?
Thanks.
Won't you sit down?
Well, how is she?
Blooming, thank goodness. And how's everything at Wentworth?
Well, it's a bit dicey at the moment. One of the prisoners is missing.
Oh. And how's Bea?
Oh, and that's some more bad news. She's in hospital.
Oh, no. Is it serious?
Well, she's been stabbed.
Well, which hospital is she in?
Oh, I hope you're not thinking of going to see her, Mummy. Now, you know the conditions of your parole.
Well, couldn't I send some flowers?
Ah, why not? She's in the Wentworth District Hospital on the 3rd floor.
That's where our prenatal clinic is. Judith Ann has a cheque tomorrow. I'll send the flowers with her. Or maybe this. Oh, it's going to be lovely when it comes out. Miss Vernon and I have a bet on the colour. Oh, she always cheers us up.
Do you mind not telling her that I've been here, Mum?
Well, is there a law against it?
Well, I'm afraid so. Now, you know a prison officer is not supposed to socialise with anybody who's been inside.
Yes. Well, I wouldn't want to get you into any trouble.
Well, I'm sure Jean wouldn't say anything, but if she did, I'd have a lot of explaining to do. And it could jeopardise your parole.
Yes, I know. You can be sure I won't say a word. And how's Lynn getting on at the nursery?
Oh, marvellously. Do you know what she said to me? It's so great outside, I should get out on a work release.
I mean, it's just as I said. It stands to reason. They've combed this place like it's got nits, and they still haven't found her.
Any objections if I work the press?
I think probably the screws are giving her a farewell party.
Have you finished? Just shut up and get back to work. All of you. Ferguson.
That's me.
You're not rostered here in the laundry.
Haven't you heard the good news? Special request from the governor. Could we have the pleasure of your company in the laundry, she says.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, well, it doesn't pay to be too soft, not when you're dealing with villains.
They only take advantage.
Right. I mean, you might think they're women like yourselves. Give them a little bit of kindness, a little bit of trust. You think they'll turn up roses, but will they?
I won't keep you, Sergeant Grace.
Give them an inch, look what you end up with. Murder.
Murder?
Well, what do you think it is?
I had Dr. Miller's report on the body before it was moved for post-mortem. Yates died of suffocation. In his opinion and mine, it was an accident.
Yeah, well, that might wear in a finishing school, Mrs. Davidson. Little girlie hiding in a dryer. Bit of a giggle, but here? No.
We assumed she was hiding from the other prisoners and accidentally locked the door from inside.
Accidentally. Well, you're very good with accidents. What do you think, Miss Bennett?
It could have been an accident.
Good at now. Hiding from the other prisoners, eh? Well, what would make that poor little lady so nervous?
She once worked here as a warder.
I see.
I said it was a mistake putting her in with the other prisoners.
So it turned out to be. Now, we have established it was Officer...
Jackson?
Jackson that was the last one to see her, right?
Yes, she was escorting Yates to the examination room.
And mislaid her.
One of the other prisoners was attacked. Officer Jackson ran to her aid.
Well, no doubt she'll tell me about it.
When she's back on duty.
Have you seen Dad around anywhere?
Oh, I think he's up the back somewhere.
Oh,
Do you lost something?
a secateurs.
Oh, I don't think you find them in the fernery.
No.
And anyway, if you're thinking of pruning the roses, they've already been done.
We got you to do them.
Mm-hmm. He showed me how. And I've got a couple of thorns to prove it.
They look nasty.
I'll survive.
Have you had tetanus shots?
Mm.
Well, look, if the skin's been broken, you shouldn't be pushing your hands in the soil like that.
Yeah, but any holes that I've got are being blocked up by thorns.
Really? Give me a look. Look, you should take more care of yourself.
Oh, that hurts.
Yeah, it'll hurt more if it gets infected.
I was beginning to think I'd done something wrong.
Why?
Well, you hardly said hello to me this morning.
I'm not much of a talker.
I'm glad to hear it. I've got enough of those as it is. Well, young lady, you going to stand around all day gossiping?
Well, she just picked up some thorns, Dad.
She's picked up some bad habits too, hasn't she? Didn't I warn you when that Grant woman was here? Yakety-yak doesn't get the work done.
Yes, Mr. Butterfield.
I was just trying to help.
I need your help, Jeffrey, and I need it quick, smart at the back gate, son. There's a load of tan bark to be shifted. Now, look, young lady, I won't warn you again.
Hey, Rat Trap features.
Piss off, you fat bitch.
Don't like your own company, eh? Can't say as I blame you. I don't think I'd like your company myself.
You wait till I get out of here. When you get out of here, you better watch yourself.
I'm taking over from B, get it? Me. And you better toe the line, or next time you won't end up in the pound, you'll end up in the bloody hospital.
I'll fix you for what you done to me.
Yeah, well, I'd have a sudden lapse of memory about that if I were you. Otherwise, you might end up like Yatesy. Yeah, she turned up. Stone cold dead in one of the dryers.
Truth.
Been there for 2 days, they reckon. Or maybe I'm telling you something you already know.
What do you mean?
Well, you were running neck and neck with Yatesy when she got to the laundry, weren't you? That's what I heard.
I can only speak as I find, Judy. That's all one can ever do. Bea isn't what your mother would call a nice woman, but given a good husband, she would have made a decent life for herself.
Must be awful, all your friends being locked up.
Not now that I've got you.
And him.
And him, too. Now eat your greens. You're going to need plenty of iron.
Why don't you go and see Bea while she's in hospital?
Not allowed, I'm afraid.
But that wouldn't send you away if you just happened to turn up with a big bunch of flowers.
You'll get me into trouble, young woman.
They'd let you stay for just a minute.
I doubt it.
Oh, Gran, you never know till you try. That's what you keep telling me.
Well, I was going to send her the cyclamen.
Well, I can take it. I've got to go to the clinic.
We'll both take it.
The Rostown case was settled in our favor. Frederick Rice got custody of his children. I sucked him plenty. He can afford it. Oh, and Karen Travers, do you remember her? I managed to get her sentence reduced.
Legal aid again?
We do have to do some legal aid, even if it's just for the look of it.
We don't have to turn down lucrative work for charity cases.
Where did you hear that?
Right in this office. If I'd known that you'd gone into the wrecking business, I would have flown back sooner. This firm was a go project when I took over. What have I got now? Charity cases.
Oh, come, Charles, we do have to make some allowance for charity.
Oh, humbug. I picked you out of law school for 2 reasons. You were bright and you were hungry. If you're setting up as a charitable institution, you can find yourself another partner, mate.
Now listen, Charles.
No, I've got to go and take my tablets. I think I left my stomach in Hawaii.
Yes, Miss Bates.
Mrs. Goddard to see you, Mr. Wilson.
All right. Send her in, will you?
Oh, we do have the Dismals.
Clara. Look, I'm terribly sorry about the other evening.
Oh, my dear, never be sorry about anything. It's such a waste of time. I myself have gone through 50 glorious years without a pang of regret.
Really? Not one pang, hmm?
Well, there was rather a charming Frenchman way back in 58. Still, one can't have everything.
Well, Jean turned out to be a bit of a frost, I'm afraid.
No, I don't think so. She was cautious, yes, but I'd expect her to be. She could be very useful if we get her on side.
That is going to take some doing.
I'm sure your charm won't fail us. She's such a pretty girl. Anyway, I just called in to tell you not to give up on her.
Do you care for a drink?
No, Steve, I
And another thing. Oh.
Clara, this is my senior partner, Charles Baldwin. Charles, Clara Goddard.
How do you do?
How do you do? Steve is being very helpful to me, Mr. Baldwin.
Oh, what's he up to now?
All manner of charitable things, and all from the goodness of his heart. I'm a dreadful freeloader, I'm afraid.
But a delightful one. I'm glad Steve's taking care of you. We like to help where we can. Don't we, Steve?
Well, Steve, I must go. And don't forget, don't let go of that lovely girl. Goodbye, Mr. Baldwin.
Goodbye.
Well?
What lovely girl?
A social worker, you will be horrified to discover. Talk about hypocrisy. So charity is humbug, is it? Clara personifies charity, and you were all over her like a chocolate topping.
That lady personified charity? She personifies money. There was a time when you knew the difference.
Come on, you lazy bitches.
Stop that, Burke. Stop it at once. Now, what the hell do you want?
I want to see the governor.
Rubbish. You just want to get out of solitary. That's your trouble. I won't warn you again.
I know who killed Yatesy. Don't you think the governor should know?
Hello, Judith Ann.
Oh, Miss Vernon, come in.
Thanks. Wow, you've painted it. Looks great. You should have called me, and I'm a tiger with a paintbrush. Where's Mum?
Oh, she's gone down the street. I think she went to the library.
Oh. How is she?
She's very well.
And you?
I'm fine.
Good. I've moved since I last saw you. I'm sharing a flat now with one of the prison officers. So we've got a lot to talk about.
Will Grandma know her?
Sure to. Meg Jackson.
Oh, yes. She often comes over here. She was over here this morning.
Oh?
Was something wrong?
No. No, nothing. Look, I think I'm going to miss your Gran. Could you tell her I called?
Yeah.
Ah, Ferguson. Now, Ferguson, I have reason to believe that you haven't been entirely frank with me. Now, look, you can lie to these ladies, but don't you start lying to me.
What are you on about?
Well, let's go over your story again, eh?
What story?
The one you rehearsed. I was outside the cell. I looked in. I saw B all covered in blood. I waited there till the screws came back.
Yeah, well, I did.
Well, we have reason to believe that you were otherwise engaged.
Doing what?
Well, you're a big girl. It would take a big girl to stuff Yates into the dryer after having laid her out first.
Oh, what with?
Well, we have reason to believe an iron.
Oh, I get it. I've been set up again. It's that Nolan, isn't it?
We have a witness.
Look, I swear to you, Mrs. Davidson, I was with B.
Not all the time. Mrs. Jackson had to look for you to lock you in your cell.
And she found me outside the dunny. That's where I was, wasn't it?
Put her in solitary, Mrs. Jackson, until we get this sorted out.
What's she in for?
Assault.
Thought so. Violent.
All we have against her is a very biased witness. I do not have the faith in Nolene Burke that you have.
She did give us very specific details, Mrs. Davidson.
Yes, an iron. Dr. Miller's report makes no mention of any injuries to the head.
Perhaps the autopsy will.
We'll see, won't we?
There was one other thing. I believe the deceased was very friendly with one of the staff.
Oh, she was a member of staff here once, but I was not aware of her being close with anyone in particular.
You weren't aware? Well, the prisoners were. I mean, if I mentioned the name Vera, would that ring any bells?
Well, of course, you've already met Miss Bennett, but I'm sure she was...
She's Vera. Well, I'm going to have to talk to her, it seems.
She's left for the day.
Tomorrow will do.
Well, there's no point in hanging around. Got too much to lose.
But there may not be any letter. She could have been bluffing both of us.
If I know Anne, there will be. You coming with me?
Up and leave just like that? Oh, I can't.
You'd sooner spend your time in that lousy prison.
I could be governor one day. I'm in line for it.
You're on the bottom line and you know it. If you love me.
Yes, I do love you.
We'll have to leave at the latest day after tomorrow.
Where would we go?
Anywhere, everywhere.
Well, look, I'll have to give notice.
There's no time. You just pack your suitcase and I'll phone you.
Well, I'll phone you when I'm ready.
Don't you try and get in touch with me. I'll phone you.
Oh, George. Well, I know so little about you.
You know everything you need to know, don't you?
Oh, hello? You still up?
I've got a problem.
Oh? What is it?
You.
Me? What have I done?
You've been socializing with an ex-con.
What ex-con? Oh, don't mean Mum.
Technically, she's out of bounds.
Come on, Mum is hardly the mafia.
Rules are rules. Now, we both got very holy about Vera socializing with Anne Yates. You're doing the same thing.
Can't compare Mum with Anne Yates. Mum's never really a real criminal.
She's a sweetheart. But having been in jail, she's got underworld connections, whether she likes them or not. I'm a social worker. I'm allowed to see her. You're a prison officer. You're not.
I've known Mum nearly all my working life.
You're not doing her any favors. I'm only thinking of her. You'd only get a talking to if you got caught. But Mum would lose her parole. Do you want to see her doing another stretch in jail?
Do you want some coffee?
You're still half asleep.
No, I'm not.
Well, open your eyes for a minute. I want you to bring this with you when I phone.
Okay. What's in it?
It's not drugs.
You sure?
Would I lie to you? Honestly, it's not drugs. Hey, I'm not going forever.
Hello? This is Miss Bennett. Look, I won't be in today. I'm not feeling very well.
Hi, Mr. Butterfield. It's a lovely day, isn't it?
It's gonna rain.
Oh, well, it'll save us some watering.
It's not sent down to save you work.
Are you upset about something? It's not Jeff, is it?
Look, what goes on between me and mine is my own business.
I'm sorry.
You get your work done this morning, you hear? And leave Jeffrey to do his, or I'll be down to see Miss Vernon.
Oh, hang on, Dad. I'll give you a hand with that.
All right, Jeffrey, put it down the back, will you? Then fix that trellis and get those bags of fertiliser into the shed, right? Under cover. Now, listen, remember what I told you about you-know-what?
Yeah, right.
Oh, do you need a hand?
Oh, shit, Apples.
I thought she was kumquats.
That's not funny.
Jeff, what's the matter with you, Dad?
Well, you know, Dad, he's got a bonnet full of bees.
Yeah, well, he's not very happy with me. He hasn't said exactly what's wrong, he just hints. I mean, how can I put it right if he just hints?
Well, it's not you. It's me.
Oh? What have you done?
Oh, I met this girl. And I liked her. But he thinks she's bad news.
What's it got to do with him?
Well, that's what I've been thinking. Why should he make my decisions for me?
Is she pretty?
Yeah, she is.
And nice?
Probably the nicest girl I ever met.
So what's the problem?
She's been in jail.
Well, he's told you, has he? I didn't think I was such bad news. How many other people's he told?
Well, he hasn't told anybody else, just me.
Yeah, well, I'd better move away before you get contaminated.
Lynn, please. Look, may I drive you home tonight? I mean, drive you back? Oh. I knew you'd laugh at me.
Oh, I'm not laughing at you. It's just, so nice to find someone who doesn't think like everyone else. You had me worried for a while. Thanks.
Autopsy report. The Burke woman was a liar, all right.
No signs of injuries to the head?
No, she suffocated in the dryer, that's all.
No signs of violence? No signs of being forcibly placed in the dryer?
Didn't I tell you?
No, Sergeant, you did not.
Oh, I thought I did. Simple enough case. Got inside the dryer to hide from the others and accidentally shut the door.
I'll have Ferguson released and Nolene Burke put in solitary. I take it you'll be leaving us now.
When I've tied up a few loose ends, I still want to see Vera Bennett.
Dr. Darling, outpatient, please. Dr. Darling.
Yes, what is it? We brought this for B. Smith, Constable. Oh, sorry.
We haven't snuck a file into it.
Oh, it's not that. It's just that plants aren't allowed in the surgical wards. Could I see her then, just for a minute? I'm sorry, no visitors. Well, could you give her this note then and ask her to write to me when she's feeling better? I'll have to read it. That's all right. No guilty secrets. Can you tell me how she is?
Well, nowhere near as bad as she wants us to believe.
Just a word, Miss Bennett. You haven't been very well, I believe. Well, all packed to go, eh?
Oh, they don't belong to me. I'm minding them for a friend.
Friend? Well, we all need friends, don't we? I believe you and the deceased were friends.
No. Well, I knew her as a prison officer. Everyone at Wentworth did. We weren't close.
Oh, is that so?
Yes?
Hello, love. All set?
You've just saved me a phone call.
Somebody there.
Oh, I agree.
Cops.
Could say that.
Now, you listen to me. You don't know anything about me. You don't even know I exist. If you stick to that, you'll be all right.
I've got a parcel for you.
It's money. Keep it for yourself. And don't worry about it, it's clean.
Aren't you going to collect it?
I've got to clear out for a while. When I'm free and clear, I'll get in touch. Tell you where to join me.
When?
Just keep your bags packed. I'll be in touch. Goodbye, darling. And thanks for everything.
As you were saying?
Well, if you weren't that close to Yates, it doesn't really matter. I thought you might be able to tell me about her associates, that's all.
No.
You know, Miss Bennett, you don't look very well at all.
Well, to what do I owe the pleasure of this visit?
I owe you an apology. I realize that there was more to last night than my own personal feelings, and I should have controlled them.
Well, that's handsome.
If you still want me to help you with the halfway house, I will.
Clara still had high hopes of you.
She's a nice lady. Nutty as a fruitcake, but nice.
Steve. Oh, you have company. Oh, this must be that social worker I've heard so much about.
Don't tell me I look like a social worker.
Oh, you're just as described. A lovely girl. No wonder Steve's taking so much interest. You may give him a social conscience yet. Keep it up. Why don't you take her to lunch? I would.
Who's Mr. Charm?
That is my senior partner. A man of many facets. Well, would you like some lunch?
Why not?
Yes.
Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Goddard's here to see you.
All right, send her in. I really wasn't expecting her.
Oh, hello, darlings. So nice to see you together. Steve, I don't want to spoil your lunch, but this is rather important. I think I'm going to be arrested.
He used to give me roses. I wish he could again. But that was on the outside, and things were different then. On the inside, the sun still shines.